Welcome back to James English. I'm Jayz.
And I'm Amy, about 37, May 7th.
And today, a day in my life.
The full picture. From the moment you wake up to the moment you close your eyes. How to describe an ordinary day in English, not as a list of facts, but as a lived experience.
Because in conversation, people don't just ask, "What do you do?" They ask, "What does your day look like? What's your day like at the moment? Walk me through a typical day." And the answer to that question, when given well, tells someone almost everything about who you are.
There's a Chinese saying I love for this. 一日之计在于晨, the plan for the day lies in the morning. How you begin shapes everything that follows. Today we talk about the whole day, but we'll see how true that saying is by the end.
The morning shapes the day shapes the week shapes the life. There's a version of that in English too. Benjamin Franklin's "Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise." Though I should note wealthy and wise remain aspirational for me.
Ha, for all of us.
Let's describe our days. The language of time and sequence in daily life, the grammar of how a day flows.
We covered sequence words in episode 31 first. Then, after that, eventually today, we go deeper. The specific phrases for describing daily rhythm.
First thing in the morning, the very first action. First thing in the morning, I drink a glass of water, before coffee, before anything. First thing as a fixed phrase means the very first item.
By the time what has already happened by a certain point. By the time I leave the house, I've usually had 2 coffees and read the headlines. By the time compresses a sequence, it tells you what state things are in when a moment arrives.
I try to get everything important done by setting a productivity window. I try to get the hard work done by noon. My brain is sharpest in the morning. The rhythm of your most productive hours.
In the middle of the day, midday habits. In the middle of the day, I take a proper lunch break. I eat away from my desk. A proper lunch break. A real break, not eating while working.
By mid-afternoon, the energy shift. By mid-afternoon, I tend to slow down a bit. I save administrative tasks for then emails, filing, the things that don't need much creative energy.
Toward the end of the day, the winding down. Toward the end of the day, I do a short review what got done, what's carrying over to tomorrow.
In the evening, the post-work hours. In the evening, I try to properly switch off, stop thinking about work, mentally disengage. I don't always succeed.
Before bed, the final routine. Before bed, I try to read for at least 20 minutes, something not on a screen. The winds down ritual. Let me describe a real working day honestly, with all its imperfections.
Please, the honest version.
On a regular working day, which for me as a freelance designer is most weekdays, I'm usually at my drafting table by 9. Sometimes 9:15, let's be truthful. I have my tea. I check messages, which I know I'm not supposed to do first thing, but I do anyway. I usually have 2 or 3 client projects running simultaneously, so the morning is about figuring out which one is most urgent.
How do you decide?
Honestly, whichever deadline is closest, which is not the most sophisticated system, but it works by the time it's noon. I've usually done 2 to 3 hours of actual design work, which sounds like less than it is. Design isn't like coding where you can measure output in lines. A good morning might produce one thing that took 3 hours, but is completely right.
Quality over quantity.
Exactly mid-afternoon is when I do client communication emails, video calls, feedback rounds. I protect the mornings for the actual making. In the evening, I usually stop by 7. I cook.
Trying.
Some evenings I succeed, others I'm back looking at something at 10 p.m. and I know it was a mistake. The self-awareness that doesn't always change the behavior. Very human. Very human indeed.
My turn. My days vary because I have a mix of in-person teaching and independent work. On teaching days, I'm at the school by 8. The morning is classes back-to-back, usually 3 or 4, each 45 minutes to an hour. By lunchtime, I've spoken more English than most people speak in a week.
Ha! The occupational hazard of being an English teacher.
Precisely. Afternoon is prep planning lessons, marking, responding to student questions. By the time I leave the school, my brain is, I'll use a very English phrase, completely fried. Fried, exhausted, unable to think clearly. My brain is fried. I'm totally fried.
Fried like an overheated electrical component. vivid.
Very vivid on non-teaching days working from home, which has a completely different rhythm. Without the structure of being somewhere at a fixed time, the day can drift. Drift is a word worth remembering for this episode. A day that drifts is one that loses its shape. You meant to do things, but somehow the hours passed.
The hours passed, time going by without clear achievement.
My solution I planned the night before. I write down 3 things that must happen tomorrow. Just 3. Benjamin Franklin kept a daily planner and asked each morning, "What good shall I do this day?" I'm not claiming Franklin's level of productivity, but the habit of intention that I've taken. The vocabulary of productivity and getting things done, because a day in life also means the work of the day.
I've been productive today. Productive accomplishing things efficiently. I had a really productive morning. I got a lot done. Got done, completed, finished. I ticked off most of my list. Ticked off, marked as complete on a to-do list.
I'm on a roll, doing things well and with momentum. Don't interrupt me. I'm on a roll. A roll as in a continuous fluid motion. Good work, creating more good work. The positive version of a day that drifts.
I hit a wall. Suddenly unable to continue, ran out of energy or ideas. I was flying until about 3 and then I just hit a wall. Hit a wall, encountered an obstacle you cannot immediately pass. A wall of exhaustion, of ideas running dry, of concentration failing.
I've been spinning my wheels, working hard but not making progress. I've been spinning my wheels on this project all morning. I need to step away and come back to it. Spinning wheels, the image of a vehicle whose wheels turn without traction, going nowhere.
I've been in back-to-back meetings, consecutive meetings with no break. I barely got anything done, back-to-back meetings all day. A common complaint in professional English life. Meeting-heavy day. A day dominated by meetings rather than independent work.
I've cleared my inbox, replied to, and organized all emails. A rare achievement, usually said with the tone of someone who knows it won't last. I cleared my inbox this morning. It lasted 45 minutes.
Inbox 0, the elusive state of having no unread or unaddressed emails. The vocabulary of the daily rhythm transitions between activities.
I take a proper lunch break, proper, real, full, not rushed. I'm religious about my lunch break. Religious about something, treating it as non-negotiable with great consistency and commitment. I'm religious about my morning walk.
I step away from my desk, physically moving away from the work environment. I try to step away from my desk for at least 30 minutes at midday. The physical act of moving as a mental reset.
I go for a walk to clear my head. Clear your head, remove accumulated thoughts and stress. A short walk at lunchtime completely resets me. I come back to it fresh. Fresh, rested, with new energy and perspective.
I switch gears, changing the type of activity or mental mode. In the afternoon, I switch gears from creative work to administrative tasks. Gears, the mechanism in a vehicle that changes speed and power. Switching gears is changing mode, changing approach.
I power through, continued despite tiredness or difficulty. I had a headache all afternoon, but I powered through. Power through use, effort, and determination to continue. I'm going to power through the last hour and then I'm done.
I call it a day. Stop work for the day. By 6:30, I call it a day. Call it a day, formally end. The working period. Right, I'm calling it a day, often said out loud as a closing declaration.
I want to add something about the vocabulary of a day that doesn't go according to plan, because unexpected days are part of life, and talking about them honestly is important.
The disrupted day, the day that started one way and became something else entirely.
The day got away from me. You lost control of how the day unfolded. I had plans and then the day just got away from me. It's a gentle, non-blaming phrase. The day is responsible, not you.
I spent most of the day firefighting. Firefighting, dealing with urgent problems as they arise rather than working on planned tasks. It was all firefighting, one problem after another, originally about literal fire, now used metaphorically for any reactive, crisis-driven work.
One thing led to another, a sequence of events, each caused by the previous one, leading you away from your original intention. I was going to clean the kitchen, and then one thing led to another, and somehow I reorganized the entire flat, said with a mixture of sheepishness and satisfaction.
I ended up. What actually happened, often different from what was planned, I ended up working until 9. I ended up taking the afternoon off. I just needed it. ended up signals divergence from the original plan.
I got sidetracked. Distracted from the main task, I was trying to write the report and I got completely sidetracked by the research. Sidetracked, drawn onto a sidetrack, away from the main path.
The day had other ideas. A playful, personified phrase for a day that refused to go as planned. I had everything scheduled, and the day had other ideas, giving the day agency and personality. Very British in flavor.
And the recovery, I just rolled with it. Accepted the unexpected and adapted rather than resisted. My plans fell apart, but I just rolled with it, ended up being a good day anyway. Roll with something, accept it, and move flexibly with it, like a rolling wave rather than a wall.
I salvaged the afternoon, managed to rescue something useful from a disrupted day. The morning was a write-off, but I salvaged the afternoon, write off something considered lost or beyond productive use. This morning was a complete write-off. Not catastrophic, just honestly unproductive.
These phrases, the day got away from me, I just rolled with it. They're the honest language of imperfect days, and perfect days are rare. Imperfect days are every day. Having the language for them is practical and reassuring.
And remember, 西之东隅，修之桑榆. What is lost in the east corner is recovered at the mulberry field. What goes wrong in the morning may be recovered in the afternoon. The day is long. There is always time to salvage something.
What is lost in the east corner may be recovered at the mulberry field. That is beautiful.
It's one of my favorites. The morning is not the whole story.
The evenings and the unwinding, because how you end the day matters as much as how you begin it.
一日之计在于晨, the morning shapes the day, but the evening shapes the next morning.
That's beautifully true. I wind down in the evenings. Wind down, gradually reduce activity and stimulation. I try to wind down for at least an hour before bed, the opposite of the morning ramp up.
I cook from scratch in the evenings. Cook from scratch, make food from raw ingredients, not using pre-made components. A statement of intentionality about food. I'm not a from-scratch cook. Every night sometimes it's whatever's in the fridge.
Whatever's in the fridge, improvise cooking using available ingredients. I had a whatever's in the fridge dinner last night. A very natural, casual phrase.
I eat with the TV on, watching television while eating. I try not to eat with the TV on. I try to be more present. The aspiration versus the reality. Some evenings I manage it.
I have a decompression routine. Decompression, releasing the pressure built up during the day. My decompression routine is a walk, a shower, and dinner. In that order. It works every time.
I read before bed. Reading as the final activity. I've read every night for as long as I can remember. I can't sleep without reading first. The book as the signal to the brain. Now we rest.
I'm in bed by a stated bedtime. I try to be in bed by 10 on school nights. School nights, weeknights, when you have to be up for work the next morning, a phrase from childhood that carries into adult life. No late nights on school nights.
Ha, school nights. We never quite stop being children in our scheduling.
The body never forgets.
One more area I want to cover, the English of the weekend day versus the weekday, because most people's days have two distinct modes, and talking about both is important.
We touched on weekend mornings in episode 32, but the whole weekend day, the pacing, the freedom, the guilt when it's not used, well, that's its own conversation.
I had a really productive weekend. You used your free time well. I got so much done. Versus, I had a completely lazy weekend. Lazy, used, positively, you rested, did nothing in particular, recovered.
I recharge on weekends. Recharge, regain energy like plugging a battery in. I need the weekend to recharge. By Friday, I'm running on empty. Running on empty like a car nearly out of fuel, functioning but barely.
I always have big plans for the weekend, and then the familiar gap between ambition and reality. I always plan to do a lot on Saturdays, and then I end up taking it easy. Taking it easy, being relaxed, not pushing yourself. I spent Sunday taking it easy. I needed it.
I pottered around the flat. We learned potter in episode 30, 5 moving around at home without specific purpose, the most restful of all weekend activities. I pottered around, did a bit of cooking, read for a while, perfect Saturday.
We made a day of it, committed a whole day to one activity or outing. We went to the countryside and made a day of it, left early, took a picnic, didn't get back until evening. Made a day of it suggests full immersion, not a rushed visit.
I lost track of time. Time passed without you noticing, usually pleasantly. I sat in the garden reading and lost track of time, looked up, and it was 4 p.m. I got lost in it, absorbed so completely in something that time disappeared.
I feel recharged. After a good weekend, you have energy again. I feel ready for the week now. I feel like a different person after 2 days off. The reset, the renewal.
And the one that comes too fast, the weekend flew by past very quickly. I can't believe it's Sunday evening already. The weekend just flew by, said with a sigh, universal and deeply relatable.
The weekend that flies, the week that drags, and somehow together they make a life.
The week that drags, passes slowly, tediously. This week has dragged. The opposite of flying, when time crawls instead of flies.
2 speeds for time in English, flying and dragging, and somehow the good moments always fly.
As they should, perhaps, as they must.
Role play: someone asks about a typical day, and we give a real answer.
What's your day like at the moment?
Busy, but in a good way. I usually start around 9. I protect my mornings for actual design work, so I try not to schedule calls before noon. By the time it's lunchtime, I've usually done the meaningful work for the day. Afternoons are for client communication. I try to step away from my desk at lunch, just a short walk around the block.
Is every day like that?
Ha. In theory, in practice, sometimes there's a deadline and I'm still at the drafting table at midnight. And sometimes the morning goes beautifully and I'm on a roll and I don't want to stop for lunch. It varies, but that's the intention.
The intention is the important thing.
The intention is everything.
Let's unpack a few phrases. I protect my mornings. Protect, actively defend from intrusion. Your mornings are a resource worth guarding.
Around the block, a short loop around the nearby streets, a walk around the block, is one of the shortest possible walks, maybe 10 minutes, but often exactly enough.
It varies, but that's the intention. Acknowledging that reality diverges from the plan while affirming the plan's value. The most honest thing anyone can say about their routine.
And I'm calling it a day, the verbal declaration that work is over, the importance of naming the end.
Lightning round a day in life vocabulary.
Ready.
By midday, you've finished your most important work.
By the time noon comes around, I've usually done the 2 or 3 things that really mattered for the day. Everything after that is administrative.
You lost the afternoon to too many meetings.
I barely got anything done, back-to-back calls all afternoon. I'm going to have to make up the actual work tomorrow morning.
You were doing well and then suddenly couldn't continue.
I was on a roll until about 3 and then I just hit a wall. I've learned not to push through it. I step away, take a walk, come back fresh.
You stopped work for the day.
I called it a day at 5:30. Enough. The rest will still be there tomorrow.
You're describing your evening routine.
I try to wind down properly in the evenings, cook something real, eat away from the desk, read for a bit before bed. It's the same every night. I'm very much a creature of habit.
The morning set the tone for the whole day.
The plan for the day really does lie in the morning. The days where I start with purpose tend to hold together all the way through. The ones where I drift from the start don't recover. Every one of those specific, natural, and exactly how people talk about their days in English.
Homework. Write out a typical day, your real typical day in English. Not a schedule, a description. Use the sequence words, the productivity phrases, the transition vocabulary.
Include something you intend to do and something you actually do instead. The gap between intention and reality is where the most interesting and most human description lives.
Share it in the comments. We want to spend a day with you.
And remember, 一日之计在于晨. Think about your tomorrow morning right now.
Name it, write it down tonight, and do it first, tomorrow.
Tomorrow, episode 38. The language of meaning to, intending to, and somehow never quite getting around to.
Procrastination in English, my personal specialty.
Mine too, honestly, which is why I was late to record this episode.
Ha! See you tomorrow. Let's learn, speak, and grow together.
See you tomorrow.